Whenever someone asks me what games I play, like somebody I just met, it's always something like, I don't know, it's complicated. And it's not because I don't know what I play, I just don't know where to start. Do I say something more popular? Do I just say the real answer? Because the real answer is a game like Oni for the PS2. The second I say that, I already know what's coming. Like, what's that? Or my personal favorite. Oh, do you play Fortnite? Or something like that. There's a lot more that I want to talk about. Like, have you ever watched a really good anime, but you already know it's so niche that pretty much everyone around you has never seen it, so you have no one to mention it to? Yeah, I could feel that emptiness in daily conversation about games for years. Like, I played all these cool video games and I had no one to discuss them with. And yeah, that's actually why this channel exists. When I was a kid, gaming and also anime were still seen as a pretty niche thing. Like, I vividly remember being in friend groups where we would literally be quiet about the games and anime that we were playing. And it was just a really weird phase before the culture finally accepted it. But now as an adult, there's so many games that I just never talked about growing up. It's funny to me because now gaming is everywhere. Like, it's totally mainstream at this point, but somehow the conversation still felt empty to me because I was watching so much gaming content for years and I just started noticing something. Nobody was actually talking about the games anymore. It's all discourse. Gaming prices are going up. Gen AI in games, leaks, rumors, and drama. And I'm just like, can we talk about the games again? I don't think there's anything wrong with being informed. But the truth is that it can slowly turn into a doomer mindset without you even realizing. I want to see more content about games and personal experiences. Like, we can keep upgrading our systems and paying these insane prices, but the games will always be there. When I was a kid, all I cared about was the games in their purest form, and somewhere along the way that got lost. That's what makes video games so special. Everyone will have their own personal experience with them. It's like walking into a gallery and looking at art. No two people will see it the same way. So I did what made sense to me and I stopped doom scrolling and I spent that time actually playing and creating again. But yeah, 6 months ago I was unemployed and that gave me some time to go down the rabbit hole of retro games. I finally had the time to sit with these games that I'd been meaning to get back to. Some of the games I was familiar with and some I had barely touched. But what surprised me was how different they hit as an adult. Like Oni, I went back to that game and the gameplay was genuinely ahead of its time. Like the hand-to-hand combat, the movement, the way that the levels were designed. That game came out in 2001 and was doing things that most games still aren't doing. And then Dark Cloud, that was actually another game that made me realize there's a lot of games that are actually underrated. Not just like, oh, like this is a hidden gem with little to no substance, but I was actually playing it and realized like, oh, like this still holds up even 20 years later. And that moment made me want to start sharing videos online. So I started making these little short analysis videos on my Instagram. I did this to put the feelings that these games gave me into words and to start a conversation around them. And honestly, the project took on a life of its own. Like we ended up on the official Atlas page in January, which was crazy. I didn't ever see that coming. The format of the short videos made sense to me because like you ever click on a gaming video and it's literally 3 hours long? Like bro, at that point, I'd rather just play the game. But I wanted to recommend you a cool game in around a minute or so without taking too much of your time away. During this whole period of covering games on Instagram, I realized something. If I never made this channel or the Instagram, I would literally have no one to talk about these games with on a deeper level. These are some of the games that did that for me and honestly changed the way that I see video games in general. So yeah. In my opinion, Ocarina of Time isn't just the greatest game of all time, but it's a playable memory. All of my memories of video games in my childhood are from a very small perspective. Like, I remember specifically being too young to understand what was going on in this game and like being very intrigued and having that sense of wonder. Wanting to explore the world of Hyrule. The puzzles in the water temple had me stuck for weeks and like it was just a different experience playing through a game with no guides, no help, just trying to figure it out on your own. It just showed me what gaming could be like in its purest form and I think it aged incredibly well. and the music, the Temple of Time. All of these themes are amazing. Ocarina of Time, it takes me back to a very specific moment in time like no other game can. And for me, I think it's the greatest retro game of all time. It made me fall in love with gaming and honestly made me want to make content in general because there's so much more to games than just the gameplay, the music, the sounds, the ambience, the game that showed that to me. And I'll always love this game.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Another game that made me want to create content was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. And I know the conversation around this game is always about the card system and you either love it or you hate it. But I never really cared about that aspect of the game. For me, it was the story. Like, this game is basically a dementia simulator. You're walking through floors built from memories. Sora doesn't know what's real and what's been constructed for him.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real or not?
Naminé is rewriting his memories in real time, and he can feel that something is off, but he can't quite figure out what it is. It's one of the most interesting things a game has ever done with the concept of identity, memories, your past. Revisiting this game hit different for me because my memories of playing it are tied to people, locations, and moments that aren't here anymore. I think that's also why it matters. This game is literally about holding on to something that is slipping away, and I think that's why I love this game so much. If you haven't played Chain of Memories, you should play it. I think it's a better game than the PS2 version. Kingdom Hearts and its whole storyline is what got me into stories in games. Even if they are a bit convoluted, I think that's where the charm actually is. Another game is Persona 3 FES, probably my favorite JRPG of all time and my introduction to the genre. I genuinely don't know if I would have gotten into JRPGs as a whole if it wasn't for Persona 3. The Dark Hour, Tartarus, the Full Moon operations, characters. The game never lets you forget what's at stake. And this game has a more dark, eerie tone that Persona 4 and 5, they also have, but it's not as intense as Persona 3. For me, the thing that hooked me in Persona 3 is the everyday stuff. You know, sitting in class, hanging out with friends after class, building relationships that actually change the gameplay and how you fight. The social links made me care about characters in a way I haven't experienced in a game before. The music, the art direction, even the way the story ends. I went back and played the original after playing Reload, and it still holds up. The game helped me get over fear and self-doubt, and a lot of things that I struggled with in the past, and, you know, actually going after the things that I wanted to do in life. And honestly, Persona 3 for me connected to something bigger. I've been through things like I finished my degree, been in a relationship for almost 10 years, and I've had some genuinely rough patches and some really good ones too. And all of that just changed how I see video games now. Like Persona 3 to me hit different as a game because where I was when I first played it and where I am now are totally different. That part of the experience is what made me realize why games matter to me in the first place. Persona 3 is definitely the most philosophical Persona with the Memento Mori quote, but it's something I live by now. Remember you will die, but also remember to live. I just learned that you can't control anything that's not in your control. Like, things will happen in the world and you can't control that. One of the main things I've heard, you know, as a kid and an adult is people will say like, oh, you're just escaping reality. And no, I would have to disagree. It's more like the opposite for me. Video games help me stay grounded, and the games that you grew up with still exist exactly as they were, no matter what's going on outside. That's what I love about video games so much. It doesn't matter how bad your day is going. If you hop into a game that you really enjoy. It's a real nice break from everything else that's so fast paced. I know I'm not the only one like that. A lot of you probably have that one game you go back to when things get hard. Like, getting lost in a new game's world is something that I will always appreciate. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because like I spent the last 6 months actually talking about games just for fun, and I just wanted to tell you it's possible to make content that's passionate and not point fingers at anybody, because things will happen in the world of gaming and we can't control that. Oh, and real quick, shout out to Trey Bold. He's a 3D artist that does characters, worlds, animations, and yeah, he made my character for this channel. He has a really interesting view on retro games and characters, so shout out to him. Oh, and also, if you want to see some of the short retrospectives I did over the past 6 months, follow my Instagram. But my question for you is, what game feels like a playable memory to you? Let me know in the comments. And anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.